Right off the bat, I would like to apologize to all of you who don't have very sophisticated sound systems because last week's recording, which really focused more on the Sun Mercury dance that happened on Saturday as they crossed paths with each other, I recorded at, a setting that was a little bit low in the recording thing. So it may have come across as a bit soft for some sound systems. Is what it is. We have entered, and we entered on Saturday, the season of Gemini. It means all kinds of things. First of all, Gemini is about information, or the gleaning of information, the investigating to discover information. Right off the bat, I'd like you to consider the fact that everything, absolutely everything, is a form of energy. When I sit down each of these weeks to tune into what kind of energy signatures that the planets are individually carrying and are involved with as a level of conversation that they're having with one another. This is an invitation for each of us to tune into just how those particular conversations may have a bearing on what it is that we, wandering around here on planet Earth, might be aware of as a meaningful context that we could pay attention to. Energy, energy, energy. Gemini. Gemini ruled by Mercury. And the mercurial energy always brings up levels of communication, experiences of perception, a process whereby we're intrigued to want more if we get bored with the things that are going on around us, and therefore the inclination to be intrigued by experience that is going on around us that is more attractive than something that is happening right in front of us, or people are trying to get our attention, but the attention that they're requiring, is something that we're already familiar with. And, the rehashing of that kind of material doesn't inspire us. And in true Gemini fashion, if this is the case, other things will distract us. Because we're still in the middle of the Mercury retrograde season, which lasts until about June 3rd, let's just say the distraction level is amplified. Pure and simple. If there are loud bangs and whistles that are firing off around us, that's the kind of stuff that can take us, seemingly take us out of the current moment or the current conversation, or what we happen to be currently interested in following, because there's an energetic excitement to those kinds of interruptions that say, well, what was that about? I need to look at that more specifically and see if there's relevance to what it is that I am doing currently that I need to pay attention to. Oh, Gemini has no end to its curiosity. But while Mercury wanders in its retrograde cycle, focusing in on any particular venue is a challenge. And the reason why is because, well, a couple of things. Mercury went retrograde in Gemini, which it's at home in Gemini. And so the whole arena of Gemini, which is, there are so many factors that Gemini represents. You could say, do you feel, we all have a Gemini part in us, and do you feel curious? Are there, is there a capacity for seeking variety? Do you feel more quick-witted, clever, dexterous, useful, knowledgeable, flexible, maybe even, while this Mercury is in retrograde, trivial? Oh, the little things that can distract us on so many levels. Fortunately, Mercury is adaptable. And this could be seen positively or at a little bit more challenging level. Can I be too adaptable, that I am distracted by anything and everything, and I want to fit into that kind of energy in a way? It's a possibility. Gemini's the storyteller, also the trickster. It's the intellectual, internal, eternal youth. It's a shapeshifter. It's the teacher, the conversationalist. Mercury today, actually probably over last night, Sunday night, shifted in its retrograde movement out of Mercury and back into Taurus. And this is one of 3 planets that are going to shift signs this week. And it might be helpful just to take a quick glance at the chart for this week. There we go. What you will notice, Mars here at 28 degrees 59 minutes of Pisces. This is for 8 o'clock this morning, the 23rd. Venus at 24 degrees of Aries. And Mercury, having just shifted into Taurus, is now 29 degrees 40 minutes as of 8 o'clock this morning. These, Mars, Venus, and Mercury, these are the 3 planets that are going to shift signs this week. Mercury has already shifted. It's gone into Taurus. And so the energy shift of that overt curiosity of Gemini that really knows no limits, no end to the factors that it wants to dive and delve into to discover, why is that the way it is? Shifting back into Taurus, there may be more of a relaxed kind of nature, but more of a, it's kind of like a laissez-faire, why bother so adamantly with trying to ferret out all the different possible meanings and all the different possible directions we could be pulled in. When Taurus is saying, relax, find something comfortable to do and to think about, perhaps a walk in the forest, some sort of a connection with nature might be beneficial to soothe or calm those curious leanings that Mercury is quite naturally inclined to pursue. And the other two planets that are going to shift signs this week are Mars, which has been doing its dance through Pisces for a season. And it looks like on the Wednesday, the 25th, Mars is going to shift into Aries. Now, Mars rules Aries. So the energy uptick of that Martian impulse as it arrives in Aries is something that is, I don't think it's possible to ignore that kind of an energy uptick. One thing to keep in mind, however, is that we're still in Mercury retrograde season. So even though the inclination is going to have this powerful engine driving behind it to actually initiate things, to impulsively start something, if it happens to be along the lines of things that we're attempted to speak about, think about, try to format in a cognitive fashion that is going to carry meaning, while Mercury's in retrograde, caution will be required that we do not, step with our hobnailed boots too deliberately upon our tongues at that time. This is Wednesday when Mars goes into Aries. Just the excitement of Mars coming into its own sign, which it does about every 2.3 years, 2.4 years. It's going to be in the air. There's no doubt about it. And think about all the things that you want to do. And we've been in COVID for 2.5 years now. It's not done with us yet. We may think that we're done with this, and this Aries ingress of Mars is going to more than likely spin tails within our wants to do more than we have been doing, which has stir crazy. I think that may be a good phrase to really meditate upon as this energy uptick transpires. Use caution. The virus is not done with us yet. We may think, Mercury's retrograde right now, so remember that, because our thinking may not be as clear as we suppose that it is. And this energy uptick of Mars landing in Aries on Wednesday this week is going to stimulate. It's going to make our feet itchy to travel, itchy to take those steps that we haven't taken in a long time. So be consciously aware of what it is that is pulling at you for participation in things that may or may not be the most beneficial for everybody involved. And the reason I'm saying everybody involved is because Aries is the individual sign. It's not the group kind of energy. This is self saying, I need to do something. That's I need to do, not we need to do something. I need to do something. Well, we live in a social world, and the experience of being with others, the drive, the impulse, that ache within our hearts that hasn't been able to do this on the level that we're used to for a couple years or so. I still say this should be done with caution. Use the masks, protect all of us. Protect self. The self may not be inclined to want to take that particular trajectory, but there's some wisdom in doing it. Now, the other planet that shifts signs this week is going to be Venus. And that will be on Friday. Venus is going to shift into Taurus, also a sign that it rules. And let's think of the Venus kind of energy. And, Mars, we'll let the Mars rest for a moment, even though that's always a challenge to do because Mars has got this, energetic drive to just do. And Venus is not quite like it. As the ruler of Taurus, after a substantial amount of Aryan type energy, the next sign is Taurus. And Taurus says, I need to chill. I need to relax for a little bit. I need some comfort food. And Venus on Friday coming into Taurus is probably breathing a sigh of relief because the other sign that it rules is Libra, which is opposed to Aries. And so that whole season of the last few weeks with Venus going through Aries has been uncomfortable for the Venus type energy. And Venus is about, besides the Taurian perspective of being in tune with nature and Mother Earth, also it has to do with love, harmony, partnership. How do we engage with aspects of interchange that we share with others? How do we appreciate art for art's sake? This is essence of Venus. And so coming into Taurus on Friday this week, pay attention to taking some time to relax. And it's not necessarily going to be the easiest thing to do because at this same time, Mars is, 2 days into Aries, and that impulse drive to strike out and do something is going to be directly at odds with Venus's entrance into Taurus, which is saying, not so fast, buddy, and Mercury being retrograde is thrown into the mix is saying, I can't seem to get my thoughts clear on what it is I want to do. There seems like, there's a befuddlement in the air that I want to utilize that Mars energy to just go do. At the same time, this Venus energy is saying, chill, brothers and sisters, take a walk in the forest, go to the beach, pick up your art tools and create some artistic things. Is there clarity in there? Each of us, depending on how we play our Aries, our Taurus, and our Gemini, which are the first 3 signs of the zodiac, are going to play out in their own unique fashion. those of us with a very dynamic, fiery quality, are going to probably have more of a difficult time holding ourselves back from charging out into the world to do something. Those with an earthy Taurian kind of quality are going to go, oh, I sense something has just landed that makes me feel like I need some time to rejuvenate. I need some time to realign my understanding of how I fit into the matrix of the living experience. And those with the air Gemini kind of quality, because the sun is in Gemini and the sun is, pretty darn important. It's that fiery ball of energy that is the reason why we exist, why everything exists on this planet. And in Gemini is curiosity. What's your choice going to lead you? Are you curious to leap forth and go out into the world to see what it is that needs to be experienced? Are you more inclined to take that trip to the beach or the forest or hike a mountain, meditate, do some artwork? Whichever way our leaning might be, the Gemini says, am I paying attention to my curiosity? Are the experiences of conversation that I'm having with others relevant to what it is that I feel like I want to learn or to teach? Both aspects of Gemini. So what is it, as the sun goes through Gemini for the next month, that might be intriguing as a method of study that you perhaps have been maybe a little reticent to dive into? Until June 3rd, putting down a definite, marker on the map, one of those push pins on a location on the map as to what it is that you want to do. It's a good time to, let those thoughts rattle around in your brain as far as what that is that you want to study or learn more of. After Mercury goes direct, it'll still be in Taurus for a little while, but it'll probably be a little bit easier to put down that bookmark. Yeah, Mercury retrograde, excellent time for reading. And determine how best to accomplish what it is that you are aiming at becoming proficient at. That is learning, after all. During this particular week, Mercury is heading toward a trine with Pluto. Venus is heading toward a square with Pluto. Mars is heading toward a sextile with Pluto. And this is all going to happen this week. So there is a Plutonic energy at work that it would be advisable not to overlook. And Pluto's function as one of the transformational planetary energies has the responsibility, or takes the responsibility, of asking deep and profound questions as to why is it that this is so? And as it contemplates that kind of a question, it digs deep. It dives deep into the underworld, into those things which potentially are buried or hidden from view. And Pluto's function is to stimulate those hidden, buried parts of any experience and rotate the earth to bring them to the surface. This is part of the composting process that Pluto does. And while it is bringing these so-called hidden factors up for consideration, it's doing the composting of taking what it is that it sees and has questions about, and it's rotating that back into the earth, doing the compost to allow it, to compost for a while, which is that's a warm experience, composting, because things get hot in a compost pile. And the reason that they do is so that they can break down. And that's Pluto's function, is to break down factors that have been in play and allow something new to be born from them. This is the Pluto transmutational kind of energy. Mars is going to sextile it. Venus is going to square it. Mercury is going to trine it. A sextile. These are energies that, they work well together because their elements are harmonious. They aren't challenging. The Venus square, the square aspect, is there's an edginess to it because, in this case, Pluto's up there in Earth and Venus is in fire, and fire and earth. I almost, as soon as I say that, I picture volcano for one thing, but on another level, I picture the heat element of the composting process actually being amplified. So, that tension is quite easily should be able to be perceived as the discomfort that some folks might feel in the process of the composting, things being made aware of that they didn't want us to know about, that kind of energy. And it's kind of like, there's tension in the air because things are moving along so swell the way they are. Well, I don't, looking at what's going on in the world right now, I can't believe that for a minute. There's tension in the air all over the place, and things are not moving along so swimmingly. And Mercury making the trine to the Earth, from Earth Taurus to Earth Capricorn, but in retrograde, might have a tendency to spin the tail. There's that, Mercury is its essence of Gemini. What does the storyteller have to say? What dialogue might be spun out, and in what fashion, this Mercury retrograde fashion, that may stimulate unclarity that is already in the air by asking pertinent questions about practicality. That's a good Earth term, practicality, between what, from a Taurian factor, Mother Earth requires and from a Capricorn perspective might be able to or not to be invited into a scenario that quite often in the world as it is today does not take into consideration the effects that we humans are having on this planet. Yeah, it's kind of interesting because even as I say that, everything on the planet is an energy created by the planet. And it's just what it is. It's a giant composting cycle. You know, even we humans we go through a cycle where we're, this body that our soul is using is, you know, wandering around on the surface made up entirely of earth elements with some spiritual brightness animating everything. And then we get recycled. The plants get recycled, all the animals recycle, and new life begins again all the time. As to what that might be, how the energy might be utilized in its next incarnation, I'll let you know afterwards. Well, that's about all the astrology that I want to, consider for this particular week. So stay tuned because the energy shifts that are beginning this week are going to be with us for a while. And remember, it would be advisable to pay attention to what you're doing. Ask questions that are going to carry some meaning. Until Mercury goes direct on the 3rd of June, don't expect hard, pat answers to just leap upon you as if they're the be all and end all of everything. Use the appropriate amount of salt with information that arrives on the table in front of you, and ask pertinent questions. Is this a benefit to me? And what might the costs be? So until next week, this is Jeff, Astro Shapeshifter, signing off and wishing you a most adventurous and exciting time going forward with reason.